of me?
Do I feel lucky? Well, do you, Bunk?
Good morning, Vietnam! I love the smell of napalm in the morning.
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
I feel the need for speed.
I wish I knew how to quit you.
Love means never having to say you're sorry.
You do! You'll shoot your eye out, kid.
What's up, film fans? Welcome to episode 263. Welcome to the School of Rock, and welcome to the Cine-Men Movie Podcast. I'm your host, Juan, and I am joined by the cast, the crew. Edward? Ella, how are you guys?
Hi.
Doing good. Yourself, bud?
I am doing fantastic. It's another Wednesday. We can call it a rockful Wednesday, I guess, as we're getting ready to tackle the 20th anniversary of School of Rock. I don't know about you guys, but 20 years. I feel like I just went and saw this movie in the theater with my parents just a few years ago.
Man.
Seriously. I looked back at the date and I was like, 2003. That's not real. No chance.
Like, can we just go back to when we were 13 and talk about music videos and MTV and VH1?
Oh, there's a thing. MTV. That's a heck of a different thing nowadays.
That was one of my favorite things in the movie. I know we'll get to it later, but he's like, this little thing called MTV ruined music. Something like that.
Jack Black was ahead of his time.
He really was.
Man.
If you guys are wanting to know, a few weeks ago I talked about a summer giveaway. The summer giveaway, the end summer giveaway is here. We will pick a winner in the next few weeks, in the next few episodes. The prizes you can win are behind me. The stack and cases of OKC soda. We also have some gift certificates to San Marcos Mexican restaurants. So details on how to win will be on our social media pages in the few days coming up. San Marcos, you guys can check them out at 2301 Southwest 59th Street right here in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. Let them know that the Cine-Men Movie Podcast sent you and get 10% off your purchase. Great food, even better customer service. Let them know that we sent you, and you guys can walk away with some gift certificates. And then, yeah, social media. If you guys have not followed, go follow us real quick. We can... we have everything over there. We have past episodes. You can look up our archives in the social media, facebook.com/the Cine-Men Movie Podcast. The Instagram is all one word, the Cine-Men Movie Podcast. X, formerly known as Twitter, is Cine-Men405. And then the emails. Email bag comes back next week. The email bag is cinemen921@gmail.com. And keep an eye on the socials because I will be giving away a digital copy of Air, the true story about how Michael Jordan became Michael Jordan with the shoe company Jordans and Nike. So that movie, I heard, is very, very good, and it will be digital copy will be free. All you have to do is check it out in the next few days. So let's get off with our first segment. Edward, recent watches or recommendations. We'll start with you. Have you checked anything out lately?
I have kept going with my series watches. So this year I have done, Stranger Things every single episode. I've done every single episode of South Park, every episode of The Big Bang Theory, and now I am doing every episode of True Blood. So, if you haven't seen True Blood in a while, go ahead and go reach back out. Knock at the Cabin. I know it's been a long time since I've been on, unfortunately, due to work. But, Knock at the Cabin. That was a pretty good one. Batista, Rupert Grint, a.k.a. Ron Weasley, was in that. That was cool. So check that out. But, yeah.
Anything you'd want to recommend for anybody? I know they can check out Knock at the Cabin is on Peacock.
Mm-hmm. And like I said, mainly series watches, honestly. I ain't gonna lie.
So you said you've been on True Blood. True Blood's
Yes.
on Max, right?
HBO Max and Hulu, for that matter.
I might have to go watch it on Hulu. I've actually wanted to watch that in its entirety for a while.
Yeah,
I'm on season 5, episode 2.
I've never seen True Blood, but like when it first was coming out, I was working at a video store, and like it was super popular. Everybody had to buy it. Everybody wanted it. So now that it's easy to stream it, I might binge it, check it out, just like you, Ella. What about you, Ella? Do you have anything that you want to recommend or anything you've watched recently?
Well, we've been trying to introduce our son to new movies, and so far he's a 5-year-old, and that's not going well at all. We haven't finished one yet, but we did finally, well, not my son, but me and my husband watched Yes Man, and that's just such a classic. It's so good. I remember going to watch that one in theaters, and it's just such a good concept then, and just rewatching it's like, this is still amazing.
There you go.
Is it like that though? Like Jim Carrey movies? I don't know, but like every time I rewatch one, Jim Carrey it's almost like wine. It just gets better the older you get.
It really does. I think it's just because as you get older, you realize like more of the life lessons that you should have gotten from it the first time. You're like, oh, they taught me that. Thanks.
Same thing with Liar Liar.
Yeah.
Oh, that was a movie, man.
It's kind of like almost the same thing with like Yes Man, and it's just, man, a lot of life lessons learned by Jim Carrey. So do you have anything you want to recommend, or has it just been Yes Man?
So far, yeah. We've been doing the Disney Plus, like what movies you want to watch, and animated and live action. Of course, I tried Nightmare Before Christmas. That didn't work out at all. He was like, Mama, are those monsters real? And I was like, no, but you shouldn't be scared of them. And then he got to mummies, and I was like, are mummies real? I was like, let's just go on to something else. We don't need to talk about mummies right now. So yeah.
Fair enough on that.
Yeah. So we're still trying.
Oh, what?
Hey, I'm back. I'm back.
Zach's joined us. I'll rapid fire go through my recent watches. I devoured all 4 Candyman movies. I'm going through the Halloween saga right now just to get ready for some. I'm trying to make it feel like October, even though it's still 90 degrees outside.
Yeah.
I did check out Elemental with the kids. I don't know if anybody's seen that.
Ooh, no.
Did you like it?
I thought it was okay. I told somebody on social media about this. Like, I hold my Disney Pixar movies on a high standard, just because they've never let me down. But Elemental to me just had a little too much emotions. I gave it a 6. I thought it was fine. I don't know if I'd ever want to watch it again.
Don't be afraid of your emotions, man. It's all good.
I agree. That's kind of what I was going to say.
It's good.
It gave me a tier, a tier or 2. Well, I don't think it was. Let me put it this way: if it was too much emotion is okay, Lion King, Titanic, stuff like that. But I felt like the movie was just trying to solely sell you on its emotion. Let me put it that way.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I was honestly. Oh, yeah, go ahead.
No, well, I was going to say, it's just a genius idea that Pixar's going to say, hey, we're going to do an interracial couples story around elements. I was like, yeah, that's a genius idea.
Yeah, and after was the other one, Inside Out? Was that the actual emotions one? Yep. Yeah, once they came out with Elemental, I was like, well, it seems like kind of the same concept, so it's going to be really like hit you in the feels.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
The Candyman movies to me were a really fun rewatch. Zach, I talked to you about horror movies earlier. I think I'm taking out one of mine and putting Candyman in there. The new 2021 Candyman to me is just so.
It's good. It's really good.
Yeah, and it gets better every single time I rewatch it. And for it to have a 5.9 on IMDb, I don't know what they're smoking, but it was strange.
What would you say gets better to you? Like, if most people are saying, yeah, this sucks or this is all right, what would you say is getting better? Like, is the story, the character development, things that you're catching differently? What would you say?
Things that I'm catching differently. Every time I've watched the new Candyman, I catch something different that gets better and better every time the story gets told to me.
Okay, fair enough.
I think that's on Peacock as well. So
I think if we talk about it, we could save the conversation. But it feels so much, even though he was just a producer on it, it feels so much like a Jordan Peele movie. I think that's probably the part I like about it.
I honestly thought it was. I didn't realize he was just the producer. I thought it was one of his movies.
He produced it, but it's up there. So if I had to recommend anything, I would recommend Candyman, which I believe is on Peacock. I didn't like Devotion. Devotion was okay. I really enjoyed Lightyear the second time around. What about you, Zach? You have anything you want to recommend?
Yeah, I checked out the Dungeons and Dragons movie with Chris Pine. I like Chris Pine. I think he's a phenomenal actor. I think I was already going in like I don't want to watch this, and so it was just a drag to me the entire time. And then I'm gonna watch the Chucky series that's on Peacock. That season 3 starts here in a couple weeks. I'm going through the Chucky movies, and boy, do I hate my life. I got through 2, I got through 3, got through Bride. I'm on Seed right now, and it's
no.
Yeah.
Until you go through all of Friday the 13th, you ain't got shit on nobody. we did that.
Yeah, that's true. You did you guys did every Friday the 13th movie.
Seed of Chucky is probably the worst one.
It's pretty bad.
These are all movies that I was just pretty much forced to watch, and they terrified me for so long. And now that I'm older, I mean, I have seen a couple of them. I have seen a couple of them as I've gotten older, and I'm like, this is awesome. And Candyman was definitely one of those for me. I was like, keep that away from me. Like, I don't want it. But when the 2021 one came out, I was like, yeah, I'll give this a shot.
Well, the funny thing is like with the Chucky movies, the first 3, they actually try to do something serious and something scary with them. But with Bride, it's just, we're just going to do full camp. And it's just, he turns into like joking Freddy by the time they get to Nightmare 4 or whatever. It's just like, this is terrible. Why are we doing this? I know I've heard the TV show is really good, but I just got to get to the other movies to do that.
You got to go through heaven. You got to go through hell to get to heaven.
Exactly.
Craig, what about you?
And then,
go ahead, Zach. I'm sorry.
No, I just in School of Rock for today's episode. So,
check. Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
All right. No cam at the moment, but I can definitely, check in and chat. Recent watches for me, I am caught up all the way to Ahsoka. Except for was it yesterday's episode 6? Started out a little slow, but I'm really liking how they're tying in kind of some of the stuff that they're doing in the episodes. I don't want to say too much if anybody hasn't seen it yet, but I like what they're doing with it. I think Ahsoka is definitely a character that deserves kind of her own arc to be able to tie into the storyline. So I've enjoyed it so far.
Nice.
And then just sports and football in general.
Now, Craig, did we ever figure out a timeline where Ahsoka is?
So this is, I believe this is after 6, and they're talking about Thrawn, which is what I have read about is Emperor Palpatine has always talked about a threat outside of the galaxy. And I think this is what they're trying to do. They're trying to talk about something that's never really been brought about inside of the, I guess, cinematic universe, but more so in the comics and books side of stuff, and video games, of course. But
Craig, you said you've been watching a lot of football. Craig, you've been watching them boys.
Yeah, Cowboys look good. Not the Stillwater Cowboys, but.
Oh boy! I think
South Alabama.
Mike Gundy, though, his contract says he's pretty safe.
Well, yeah, he's the savior of that team in town, so
Yeah, Boone Pickens isn't there anymore to pay that contract out.
We will. We'll talk about them Longhorns another day.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they look good.
They look okay. Man, well, Craig, other than Ahsoka, is there anything else that you want to recommend? Any video games that you want to recommend before we move on?
Like video games. This game called Party Animals came out on Steam, a PC game. I don't know if it's console, but it's kind of like a animal beat 'em up battle royale type thing. It's pretty fun.
Okay. All right. Well, guys, it's been a while since we've all been together, and we're gonna talk a top 5 today. We are talking our top 5 Jack Black movies. All right, guys, we love lists. We love top 5s here on this podcast. We do it every week.
Yeah.
Honestly, it kind of got hard to come up with a new top 5 every single week, so now we're just sprinkle them on here and there. But I'm going to go through my honorable mentions. If anybody else has any, they can. If not, we'll start with number 5. My honorable mentions: Saving Silverman, School of Rock, Mars Attack, and I Still Know What You Did Last Summer. Anybody else have any honorable mentions?
Mars Attacks was definitely on my list of just like mentioning, because I was like going through his IMDb and I was like, he was in Mars Attacks.
Yeah, he was the funny brother that was going to the army.
Apparently, he was also in Waterworld,
Really?
which I had as a pilot.
When you
I was
see
just
that
like, what
Black
the hell?
cameo, he kind of just pops up out of nowhere.
He really
Yeah.
does. Like he had a lot of random things on his list, and that's just a good actor.
Yeah.
So
I got 3. I'm gonna say Shark Tale, Nacho Libre, and then the 2015 Goosebumps that he did. I thought that was pretty fun. So
all right. Edward, go ahead and start off with you. What's your number 5?
Number 5, I'm going to go ahead and go with Shallow Hal. Probably the first one I ever remember seeing him in, for that matter. Saving Silverman would be number 2, for that matter. The one I remember seeing him second in. But Shallow Hal, man, I found it funny. A lot of different kind of things that gone into it to make the comedy kind of wide, with not meaning to have a pun there, but yeah, not my favorite, but definitely for me is one that is very rememberable.
Number 5 for me is going to be Kung Fu Panda. And it's so, it may not be the best children's movie, but it's enough to make an impact on you. And
Oh yeah.
Panda, I think of Jack Black. If it's funny enough and it made an impact on me that much, like
you're
I got
going in and out.
In and Out better.
Yeah.
I feel like I have to put the movie in that top 5 range. So, Kung Fu Panda, for what it's worth, is number 5 for me. So, Ella,
Right.
what about you?
I think Kung Fu Panda's
like,
pretty underrated for what it is.
I think that's the case, yeah, because maybe there were so many that was made that you didn't really get time to just soak in the original. Oh, it made money. It's a kids' movie. Let's put out number 2 and 3.
Right.
yep.
So,
My number 5, this is a really hard list because all the ones that I like know, I'm like, oh, how do I rank that? But The Cable Guy was like one of the, not really necessarily the one I first remember him in, but that was just like my show when I was younger, and like kind of just rewatching it. I'm like, yeah, Jack Black's
There you go.
awesome still.
Cable
But
Guy.
yeah, and probably my number 4 would be Shallow Hal, because for the same reasons. It was definitely the first one I remember going to watch in theaters, and it was just kind of really teaching those good lessons and giving you some introspection as well, even though I was like an actual child.
For real. Don't be shallow. You're like 9. Yep. Okay.
Yep. Like,
So
that sounds terrible.
number 5 was Cable Guy.
Yeah.
Zach.
My number 5 is his most recent movie, the Super Mario Brothers movie. Had a lot of fun with it. I think he was the perfect cast for Bowser. And to be completely honest with you, I knew he was in the movie, but he doesn't even sound like Jack Black originally when he first starts talking. And then of course, you got to love the Peaches song and everything with that. And I thought it was just a perfect overall casting choice for that movie, and it just works really well. So
Yeah.
I had the same experience as you. Like as soon as the Peaches start playing,
it was like,
me and
oh
my
yeah,
husband are like, it's Jack
that's
Black.
him. That's him. That's what gave it away. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I've just had that song in my head all day now because that's the only thing I can think of anymore whenever I think of Jack Black. Just Peaches,
Yeah.
Peaches.
Craig, what about you? What do you got at number 5?
Number 5 for me is going to be Tenacious D. Just I mean, it's him and Kyle going on, their little adventure, and the soundtrack's super memorable. It's him actually playing a guitar. It's their band, and it's just a movie that's kind of far-fetched about their band. So, like I said, soundtrack's super memorable, and it's got some funny moments in there. So that's my number 5.
It's a good movie. Edward, number 4 for you?
Number 4 for me, I'm going to go ahead and put Jumanji. He was one of the main characters, but of course he was still kind of a side character in a way. But he brought a lot of good comic relief along with Kevin Hart and even some with Dwayne Johnson. I thought he played his part well, especially with the little switch ups that happened in the movies. I was about to say it's kind of his niche, but at the same time he does it so well that's exactly why they cast him. So yeah.
Nice. When you said Jumanji, I automatically thought Robin Williams, and I'm like, sir, are you okay?
Yeah.
Not the OG, but
I keep forgetting about those new ones.
I can't even do the new ones. I'm like, I don't want to ruin Jumanji for me. I'm sure they're great. I'm sure they're amazing, but I'm like, no.
They're fun.
They kind of touch on the old one a little, not
The first
much,
one does. Yeah.
but just a hint of it. So it does respect for that matter.
Yeah, it does. Welcome to the Jungle does a nice tribute to Robin Williams, which I thought was nice. So
number 4 for me, Ella, you already brought it up. I'm gonna say The Cable Guy.
It'd be higher, to be honest.
One of the first movies that I think I really originally saw him in. He plays Rick, which is Steven's best friend. He's the guy who's telling him to be careful. Then he does the background and the back work, trying to find out who Jim Carrey's character really is. In most of these movies I'm about to name, other than my number 1, to me, and we'll get into it later, Jack Black has always been the funniest and one of the best side characters. I have a hard time with him being the main funny guy. To me, he's and I might get hit in the knees for this, but I think he's funnier as the side guy than the main guy, and we'll get into it a little bit later. But number 4 for me is the Cable Guy.
Okay.
Yeah, Ella, what about you? What's your number 4? I think you already said it, but
yeah, I think I'm just lost in the numbers now.
Okay, it happens.
So yeah. So yeah, Cable Guy, Super Mario. I guess Super Mario Brothers probably would be my next step. We already talked about Peaches. I can sing it some more, but yeah.
So number 4 is Super Mario Brothers, and you know what? I felt like I knew that movie might be on almost everybody's list, but how impactful has he been to every generation?
Yeah, that's true.
It's like he'll go away and then come back.
Good.
Oh,
it's going on 30 years?
Yeah.
Good. Literally.
Good number 4, Ella. Zach, what's your number 4?
My number 4 has already been mentioned as well. The Kung Fu Panda series. I think I agree with you, Johnny. I think it's been a very underrated series. They're very fun. It's a very classic role for Jack Black to kind of be, like you said, like the goof, but he makes it work. I think if I'm not mistaken, there's a 4th one coming out next year or 2025. So I mean, they make money. They're good. They're DreamWorks. So, and it has a good surrounding cast with them. And Angelina Jolie, Seth Rogen, Jackie Chan. They always have good villains. Like I think the second one had Gary Oldman as the villain, J.K. Simmons in the third one. So yeah, just real fun. And like you said, I think people got tired of them just because they made money. And like you said, they just pushed them out left and right. So, and they've done a bunch of like direct to DVD, direct to Nickelodeon series and whatever. So I think obviously it's a still valuable franchise, and you know it's Jack Black. So I'll watch the fourth one when it comes out. So
I never even realized there was a third one until like a year or two ago. Then I saw it at Walmart.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my god, there's a third one. I
Yeah,
bought it. Still never seen it.
I think Bryan Cranston plays his dad in that one. I'm almost certain about that.
Craig, number 4 for you.
Number 4, I kind of have like it's a little bit of a split for me. As far as the movie, I like Tropic Thunder in that spot, but I don't really like Jack Black's role in that movie. So as far as actual roles in the movie, I'm going to go with number 4, Kung Fu Panda. Same reason as you guys. I think it's a great kids film. It's one that kind of came out of nowhere. When it came out, a lot of people weren't expecting it to do good things, and like you said, they're about to make a fourth one. So I think Jack Black has that personality that can really be captured in his voice. So doing stuff like, you know, animated pictures, he's really able to make the character feel 4-dimensional and not just kind of stale and 2-dimensional.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I think he's like the perfect kid. He's a perfect kids actor. If that makes sense.
Yeah, for sure.
Edward, kick us off with number 3.
Number 3, I'm following on coattails, man. Panda. I mean, you know, there's not many other movies that can lead you in and make you kind of feel just like for, you know, a minute, and then all of a sudden make you cry in the first like 10 minutes and then elevate you the entire rest of the movie. And yeah, so, and make you want some noodles, you know. So there's that.
Anything can make you want some noodles.
For some reason, Naruto. Every time I watch Naruto, I want noodles. It's like you bastard.
It's the ramen anime.
Yeah, I know, man. Ichiraku.
Just three-fourths of the anime is them eating ramen.
You guys could send hate mail.
It does always look so good too.
So yeah, when you know the duck's in there cooking up, it's just like, you know what? Maybe I'm gonna pause.
We'll be right back.
Yeah. Number 3 for me is going to be Orange County.
Okay.
It's a fun, kind of raunchy, but yet PG-13 comedy. I watched it for the first time like maybe when I was like 7. I think it was I don't know how old it was. I saw it on MTV, but it's hilarious. It's got Tom Hanks' kid in it, Colin Hanks. It's real funny. Lawrence is an older brother, and he kind of just gets his younger brother in some deep shit. He thinks he's trying to help, but he's a slob who wants to just get high and doesn't take life seriously. But you know, it's got a good message towards the end of the movie, and Jack Black makes it funny. Like I said, I think Jack Black is better as the sidekick than anything else. But I highly recommend it. Go check it out. It's not streaming anywhere. You can rent it for like $3.99 on Prime Video. This just got a Blu-ray release a few years ago, and I picked it up. So Orange County from 2002 is my number 3. So yeah. Ella, what about you? What's number 3 for you?
The number 3 would be The Shallow Hal. It is, like I said, it is the first movie, and then like it was a lot of verse, like Gwyneth Paltrow. Like, how do you even try and make her any kind of ugly? It was impossible. And just the message that it really sent, just how you look at people, that really helped me a lot when I was a kid, because I was very self-conscious, and just kind of hearing that message was awesome.
Zach?
Zach.
Number 3.
Sorry. Number 3 is The Holiday. the Christmas movie with Cameron Diaz, Kate Winslet, Jude Law. He's very good in that movie. He has really good chemistry with Kate Winslet. I think the only flaw with the movie is it's 2 hours and 16 minutes, which it doesn't need to be that long of a movie.
You
but I
started
really
on
enjoyed it.
You started on Christmas time. By the time you're over, it's like Valentine's Day.
Exactly, and it doesn't need to be that long. I think I watched it for the first time actually for Christmas a year, maybe 2 years ago. Yeah, really liked it, and it's yeah, good Jack Black movie. So, what about you, Craig?
Holiday.
Number 3 for me is going to be the Super Mario Brothers movie. For all the reasons I said for Kung Fu Panda, I think his voice acting really kind of, is its own thing compared to like his live action. And the movie overall was just great. I think, it was a cast that you were kind of unsure about, but man, once you heard that first kind of opening trailer with Jack Black coming out as Bowser at the little snow castle or whatever, you were sold. So I think it was a great choice for him and a great movie as well. So
there you go.
Awesome. Edward, number 2.
Number 2 for me, I'm going to be surprised if this is not on anyone else's list because I don't think I've heard it yet. King Kong, man. It's one of the more serious roles he's ever had, and I thought he did wonderful in it. I thought he wasn't necessarily a full-on jerk, but at the same time was extremely serious and was extremely deliberate in with the character and what the character wanted to do. His character was there for a job and an adventure. Basically, he wanted his film, and that's what he wanted. He was willing to go through a very strange world and hell to get to it. So, yeah, that role made me look at him in a whole different light after that, and realize that he can do serious if he really wants to. If he fills the role and all that, he's not bad.
Number 2 for me is Nacho Libre.
Let me finish this pot.
Nacho Libre is number 2 for me. He's hilarious. He's that whole movie, the accent, the wrestling moves he pulls off, learning to do some of that stuff. It's super, super funny. I don't see how we've not talked about that movie. But Nacho Libre is, like, to me, as funny as Jack Black gets. So that's number 2 for me.
There you go.
Ella?
Number 2 for me is Year One. It came out on June 19th of 2009, and I went to watch it for my 18th birthday. It is the funniest movie, and I feel like it's one of those ones where he's definitely the lead, but him with Michael Cera is just, it was gold. And like one of the first characters that they run into is like Cain and Abel, and something I reference constantly is just Cain smacking Abel. Like, what am I continuing to do? And that whole movie was just perfect. So definitely my number 2.
Yeah, that's funny. I completely forgot about Year One. That's a funny movie. Zach, what about you? What's number 2?
Number 2 is what we're talking about today, Skull or Rock. So we'll talk about it here in a little bit.
Craig, number 2?
Number 2 for me is, I agree with you, Johnny, Nacho Libre. I think just as stupid of a movie as you could put together, he comes out and makes it work. I remember we went to go see it as a family, and there's only been like a couple movies where my dad just was like completely like upset after watching the movie, and then has come to realize that it was one of the greatest things of all time. It's Nacho Libre and Napoleon Dynamite. And so it was just, I just remember leaving the theater. My dad's just upset. Like, I can't believe I spent all this money going to see this movie. And I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. I thought it was great. So, yeah, number 2 for me is Nacho Libre.
That's funny. Edward, finish us off. What's number 1?
Nacho!
Dude, I don't know why, but like that's the movie. Other than this, like I'm still up to my rule, but other than this movie, well, okay, I'd say other than School of Rock and Tenacious D, because that's so much of more like his own personality, true self. But Nacho Libre is just to me like if you name off any three movies that somebody's going to recognize Jack Black from, it's going to be one of those three in my eyes. And with Nacho Libre, love it, hate it, think I'm an idiot. That's cool. I don't care. But that one sticks out to me, and it always has. Even what 06, 05, whatever have you. Even since then, it's yeah. So, like you said, him learning to do all the moves, him learning to do anything of the wrestling with the Libre for that matter, or just oh, they're my stretchy pants. I wear them. Just the stupid ass accent, the plot of the entire thing, the costumes, the when he takes the like cornflakes or the chips or whatever the hell, crushes them up and blows them into her salad. It's just like,
It's the Lord's chips.
are you serious? Like, this is horrible. Of like, this would be so just cringy to watch in real life happen, but on film it was just incredibly hilarious.
It was
If
magical.
it was anybody else, it'd be horrible. But if it's Jack Black
100%.
was able to pull it off,
I don't
100%.
see anybody else doing it. I don't, and I'm not trying to up his game or anything like that. But like School of Rock, I don't see anybody else doing it. Nacho Libre, I don't see anybody else doing it. And I Kevin Hart, no. Will Ferrell, no. Jim Carrey, no. Even Sandler, no. Like,
Well, yeah, I mean,
I
if you're going,
Kind of all now.
you would have to, you would have to think back in that era. And the first one that came to mind, what you said, was Jim Carrey, and I think they're flops with Jim Carrey, even though Jim Carrey was kind of in his heyday at that time. It's just these movies only worked because of Jack Black.
Yeah, and I mean he was the perfect fit for those characters to make them awkward enough, funny enough, and then a good character arc. Just to go from one to a completely not completely different, but a different enough style that it worked. That's all. It just worked. So.
If I my number one, it was a tie. I almost was a tie, but I'm gonna have to go ahead and say King Kong. We did a whole episode on it. Episode 119. Go back in the archives, look it up. Fun episode. It was a near Christmas episode that year. We talked about it in the middle of the pandemic when you couldn't go out and do anything for Christmas. So go check it out. December 14th, 2020. Fun episode. I remember the movie very, very vividly. I almost didn't want to do it because of how long it was, but it flew by. Jack Black was perfect in the movie. So yeah, that's my number one, King Kong. Ella, what's your number one?
So I kind of cheated on this one, but it is absolutely my favorite. And it is Mrs. Albert Hannity.
Okay.
It is the very short scenes that you get to see in The Office. I don't remember what episode it is, but Jim and Pam are watching a stolen movie with Andy, and it's Mrs. Albert Hannity, which stars Jack Black and Jessica Alba, and it's kind of just one of those love stories that he falls in love with Jessica Alba, meets what's supposed to be his mother, but ends up being her grandmother, who is played by Cloris Leachman. And so it's just a couple of scenes showing like him meeting Cloris Leachman and them starting to like build this love connection. And it's just the funniest things ever. So honestly, it's such a good role for me.
Nice.
The Office.
That's funny when they do stuff like that. Like when they make like a fake movie inside of a movie or a fake show inside of a show.
I want to say it was a Super Bowl episode. I remember that now because they always brought in the big guns for like the special events, and they were playing after the Super Bowl. So that was the one it's in.
Zach, what about you? What's your number one?
Well, Ed, Johnny beat me to the punch. It's King Kong from 2005. Yeah, it was a really fun episode.
Knew it.
Yeah,
I was
you
just
figured
like,
it out.
I was just like,
Um,
it doesn't make sense because unless that's their number one, because neither have mentioned it. So I'm just like, that does not make sense to me.
Yep, it's number one. We talked about it for its 15th anniversary, like you said, Johnny, a couple years ago. Yeah, I agree with you what you said, Ed. He is perfect casting as Carl Denham. He's the perfect Orson Welles type character that character is. And like you said, it's a completely different side to him. He still has the Jack Black humor in some scenes, but it's primarily a very serious role for him. And I was like, yeah, this guy can act when he wants to, and that's awesome. So yeah, that's number one for me.
All right, Craig, you have the
Bring it home.
Bring it home. Finish us all off. What is it? What's number one for you?
It's the movie we're talking about today. I think it's a accumulation of a great story, accumulation of a great cast that has sustained throughout the years. It's a movie that's sustained throughout the years. I mean, it has so many quick callback references that you can do with people, like where it's the let's rock. The chemistry with him and the kids and the adults. I don't know if there's a movie that does it quite as well as this one, and so that's for that reason it's my number one.
Well, don't give away your grade. 5.5.
Hey, Jack Black movies aren't very good, so it probably is about that.
So in other words, you really love Gulliver's Travels.
It never bothered me. I honestly don't ever like. I remember seeing it a little bit, and I was like, "That's just too much for me."
And that's what we're talking about today. The 20th anniversary, the 20th anniversary of School of Rock. I've gotten a lot of social media comments and emails on your top 5 Jack Black movies. Keep them coming, guys. Email is coming back next week at the end of next week's episode, so I'll go over all those lists next week. But for now, sit back and listen to us talk about School of Rock. IMDb has it at a 7.2. Rotten Tomatoes is at 92%. The Metascore is at 82%, and the Google users like it at 87%. It had a budget of $35 million, and it grossed a little over $131 million at the box office, with a release date of 9/24/2003. So we're just a few days away from its actual 20th anniversary. Starring Jack Black, Mike White, Joan Cusack, Adam Pascal, Sarah Silverman, Miranda Cosgrove, and directed by Richard Linklater. After being kicked out of his rock band, Dewey becomes a substitute teacher of an uptight elementary private school, only to try and turn his class into a rock band. Zach, this was your pick. This was your movie you wanted to talk about. Everybody else loves this movie as well. You kick us off on, do you remember the first time you've seen it, and what was it like for the rewatch?
Yeah, so little side story with this movie. Way back in the day, I don't know if you guys remember this, but when Kohl's first opened, they actually sold DVDs. Like it was just like a shelf of them, not very many. And this was one of the movies.
No Blu-ray?
No, Blu-ray wasn't out yet. It was just a regular DVD. But I remember getting it, and I was just like, I've always wanted to see this. Let's check it out. Loved it. And when I remembered, I was like, when did this movie come out? 2003. It's like, oh, it's 20 years. We got to talk about it this year somehow, some way. And I'm glad we're finally doing it. And on this rewatch, I had a freaking blast with it, to be honest. I hadn't seen it in a couple years, and yeah, it just all the memories came flooding back, and yeah, I love this movie.
Nice. Ella, we'll go with you. Do you remember the first time you've seen this movie? And if not, what was it like revisiting it for the episode in a few words?
I definitely remember watching it in theaters. Don't remember the specifics of it, but I just remember being so excited when I left the theater because I was that person. I was like, I want to be a rock star. I want to sing. And I shouldn't be any of that. But I left that theater thinking I was one of the coolest kids in the world and I was going to make it happen. And honestly, the revisiting of it, I haven't watched it in a long time. So watching it this week, I was like, wow, I'm a parent now. I hate this.
Yeah. There's some scenes that we'll talk about that made you feel that way. I honestly, I think I talked to you guys a few years ago when I first got the Blu-ray. That was the first time I seen it a few years ago. I think it was 2020. They had like 4 or 5 Jack Black movies that came out on Blu-ray, and I went and picked them up, and this was one of them. I had a blast. It was a funny movie. I laughed nonstop. This time around, it was still this kind of the same thing. There was like a scene or two where I was twiddling my thumbs, but it might have just been me. But I still had a fun ride with it. Craig, what about you? Do you remember the first time you seen it, or if not, just what was it like watching it?
Man, I honestly don't remember the first time I watched this. It was probably I know I didn't go to the theater, so it probably rented it or saw it on TV or whatever. But just everything about it, I enjoyed it, especially as a kid. You know, the songs are catchy. It's funny. You know, the students kind of talk back to the teacher. So when you're younger, you're on that side. But then as an adult, you rewatch it, you're like, man, I really feel with Jack Black. You know, he's struggling to find a job. He's struggling to do a lot of stuff. And now he's like, man, if I can get away with this, you know, I can make some quick money. And like, we've all been on both sides of the equation for this movie. So I think if you're able to relate to it like that, it really kind of feels a different way, you know, once you watch it, you know, 20 years later.
Edward, what about you? Do you remember the first time? If not, what was it like watching it this week?
Probably had to be 2003, 2004, somewhere in that little area. I did not go see it in theaters, but I did watch it on DVD. Loved it then. Thought that the songs were pretty cool. Thought it was cool that he trained, you know, all these kids to play drums or a bass or guitar or, you know, different stuff like that, and kind of even got some of them to kind of really do some good solos or some shredding or, you know, really, really good, even a bass solo, if I'm not mistaken. You know, there's just a lot of different things that kind of gone into this movie. And to know that, you know, now I still love it just because I know that some of those kids actually learned to like how to play those instruments, you know, and I thought that was pretty cool. And even the kid who did the guitar, he apparently got
he's in jail. He's in jail now.
He wanted that guitar real bad.
Yeah.
Wow.
He got caught trying to
steal guitars.
Yeah. So
I'm just like, was it at least worth it? Like oh my god, like a Hellraiser, Schecter Hellraiser or something.
He was like, I gotta get back to the band, man.
Right. Gotta feel that feeling. That Les Paul looks perfect.
But no, let's get into it. I mean, obviously we just got done talking about Jack Black as, you know, our favorite films of his, but is this like the perfect role for him? He's literally being himself, but also, you know, still motivating kids in a certain way, in a weird way. I think that the thing that really works with this film is his performance, and obviously the soundtrack. It's a combination of the real songs plus the songs of the kids and that they do. It brings like a magic to it almost in a certain sense of the word.
One thing you got to understand though is, he makes it work, but at the same time the kids do too.
Yeah.
Because without
hate kids.
These are elementary kids. They're not nothing.
They're adults now.
That's true.
Very much so.
It's cool. But I mean, without them, you know, getting into it or even willing to, you know, go through and learn and do, it doesn't work. Because I mean, then you've got, you know,
you have a young iCarly in there.
Oh,
it's the chemistry of the kids. The kids bond with Jack Black, and Jack Black bonds with the kids. And I'm sure on set, you know, while they're doing behind the scenes stuff, he was teaching them guitar and drums and different stuff. So it brings a real authenticity to it.
You know what those actors? Oh, go ahead, Ella. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say about his like relationship with the kids while I was just kind of scrolling through videos, watching the performance of the movies and related things. There was a 10-year reunion show that they played, and then I saw that was in 2013, and I was like, wow, time's crazy. But
Well,
they're all adults, and they are
Yeah.
all like awesome, and it was so cute.
Except
and
for
now
the guy
they-
who stole the guitar.
yeah. And that's why I was like, what? In 2013, he was completely normal. But
Well,
apparently
and I saw in an interview, Jack Black is going to try to get everyone together for the 20th anniversary in October. So I think that's cool.
that's awesome.
But
And that's what's true, Zach. You said it. The chemistry with the kids and how perfect was Jack Black for the role. Like in a lot of movies where half the co-stars are kids, yeah, that's true. In 10, 15, 20 years, they're probably not gonna be on the same level as their co-star or the main star in that movie. And I'm talking about stupid stuff like Kindergarten Cop or other movies that have just a bunch of kids in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Terminator.
true. They may not live up to the star's hype, but if the kids aren't on roll with the star, it's not going to work out. It's not going to be funny, or it's not going to be a good rewatch. It's not going to be a good movie.
Yeah.
Same thing with like how you said. So I think that's true.
Yeah, I feel like in this movie, it's not 80-20 Jack Black. It's really 50-50,
50-50.
sometimes even
Yeah.
It really
40-60
is.
the kids.
Yeah.
And it really, so, even though Jack Black isn't the main person on screen, the screen time is still elevated due to their performances.
And
Yeah.
who knows how many people were actually inspired back then to pick up an instrument and go from there. As well as who knows how many musical artists these days, found a little bit in that movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I was thinking as well when you guys said that it's just such a good role for him because it's just him. And like Tenacious D, I was a little bit older and I didn't really appreciate his type of music yet. But this movie, I was so young, it really did inspire me to listen to some of these bands. And I'm sure that was like his dream come true of a movie that he could just teach kids and everyone else about music.
And to rock out. I mean, that's just like his ultimate goal in life.
Oh yeah,
And-
stick it to the man.
Ella, I wanted to bring this up to you. You're a huge music fan, almost just like how we are, like movies and stuff. Like it's crazy how an actor can have so much influence on somebody through movies, music, everything.
Yeah.
It's insane.
He's just such a well-rounded actor. I mean, he can act in serious roles. He's hilarious. He is the best character actor, and that's why you don't really want to see him in a main role because he just does characters so well, and he knows how to move his body. Like, I know he mostly jokes when he dances and stuff, but to be able to act and do what he does, you got to know how to move.
The fluidity he has is actually really, really good, especially for a bit of a bigger guy too. He's got good movement as well as and yeah, like you said, he's playing around for most of it, but there's still that skill there. There's still that inner ability to do that.
Yeah.
And Tenacious D, I will kind of agree. Like Tenacious D is one of those things where it's almost like he does parody music in a way.
Yeah.
Because of how his personality is, most of the stuff he does is metal, and I mean, some of the songs he's put out, like I like, but with that, it was almost in a way a parody movie to where this is legitly like behind the scenes kind of translated to on screen in a way, because I'm sure he had, like you said, Zach, at least some type of influence on these kids to, whether it was their playing style, what they did play, how they even, kind of tried to learn for that matter. He had some influence somewhere. So,
well, and speaking of influence, I have the soundtrack on my phone, and just listen to the artists that they got. They got The Who, The Doors, Cream, Led Zeppelin, The Black Keys, Stevie Nicks, the Ramones. It's just like all these songs, obviously are so pop culturally, like everyone knows what they are. But like when you hear them in the movie, it's just like that makes sense. It makes sense to use them. It makes sense to use Led Zeppelin. The funny thing is when they use the Immigrant Song, there's footage of Jack Black like basically pleading for the band to say, "Hey, can we please use your song in this movie?" Because they, at the time, Led Zeppelin did not let anyone use their stuff, and so it's on the Blu-ray where like they say, "Listen, they're on stage, they're on the Battle of the Band stage, and Jack Black has a whole crowd behind him. It's like, hey, listen, guys, we love you guys. Can we please use your song?" And they granted him to do it, so it's awesome.
That's the cutest story I've ever heard.
I wonder if they still charged.
More than likely, yeah.
I'm sure they did, yeah.
But I mean,
that's what I would be interested in, how much each of those songs cost, because it is insane.
Well, I mean, you look at it, the budget is $35 million for a comedy. That's a pretty big budget. I almost bet maybe almost $3 to $6 million was probably for soundtrack.
Music rights, yeah.
Yeah.
Probably. And probably most of it went to Jack Black too, so obviously. But what do we guys think, other than the kids and Jack Black, which we talked about, what do we guys think about like the side characters like Principal Mullins, which I kind of agree with you, Johnny. The only scene that I'm just kind of like, was when he tried to get her drunk and they put the Edge of 17 song on and she's just go do your field trip.
I love that. Yeah, I loved that scene.
On the like this, I remember before watching the movie, I was just like, I don't know, like that's the part that I was kind of like iffy on. But on this rewatch, I really enjoyed it. It makes a lot of sense.
I tell you who I didn't like, and I want to see if you guys' opinion is the same. But I think she just played that good of a mean person, as I'm going to say Sarah Silverman.
Yeah.
Yes.
Her character, I really wanted to just like turn it off. I was like, okay, time to go.
But that is why it was such like a great role for her. Like it's not her being comedy serious. It's just straight face serious. And she did it she did it great. And there was a couple of times on the rewatch recently that I could like kind of catch her break a little bit. Like she had too much of a smile. But I mean, it was still really interesting to rewatch her being so serious.
I bet Craig enjoyed Principal Mullins a lot, didn't you? But you're a big Toy Story fan.
Oh yeah, that's true.
The voice got me. I'm like, okay, it's a normal voice, but that bass.
Were you like, Jesse, give me a hug, Jesse?
Yeah, no, it's
I kept thinking of her. I was waiting for the principal to be like, come on, Bullseye.
The biggest person I had an issue with was his roommate.
Oh yeah.
Ned, yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
He's the writer of the movie, Mike White.
Is he? Oh, he is.
Yeah, he wrote the movie.
That's funny. But yeah.
That doesn't surprise me. He's really funny, but I agree that he just wasn't like, you could tell he was supposed to be the pushover, but I didn't feel like it was like that believable.
Yeah. Not believable, and just like with Sarah Silverman and Jack Black on screen with him, it was just like you can tell there's two pulling their weight, and then he's not really pulling his weight. Like it was obvious on the screen. Yeah,
I think part of that might be just the way the character is written. Obviously, it's like anytime Patty tells him to do something, he's like, okay, like he's just like he doesn't want to do it at all, but like he wants to be what he needs to be for Patty, but at the same time, he definitely misses that lifestyle. Like when they're sitting at the table, it's just like, this is you, and he's like all dressed up in like the Kiss outfit and everything. It just, In
a way, that kind of reminded me of the Saving Silverman role, just because, they kept trying to get this guy that's, with Sarah Silverman's character, then trying to get him to what he used to be, and he's not wanting to go for it at all. But
yeah,
that would have been the only downside in my eyes as well. But
I didn't realize on this rewatch just how well written this script is. Like like there's just a lot of strings that really get tied up in the end. Just great character moments. Some of it's probably ad-libbed or improvised by Jack Black, but it just it's so well written that it's just like, how is this? This should not be as good as it is, but you enjoy it.
Was this a Nickelodeon movie? I know, like,
no,
this one wasn't. Okay,
no.
If anything, MTV Productions might have had something to do with it.
I think it was MTV. Yeah.
Yeah,
But the
there's just
funny-
so many good one-liners.
Oh my
Like
god!
one of the first things I was like, "Would you tell Picasso to sell his guitars?" I was like, I forgot about that one.
The one that really got me on this time was when he takes the kids to the audition. He says, they have stick it to the manitis. What?
Okay, if
It's like a rare blood disease, but it's okay. They're gonna die.
If I'm being serious, I had a hard time wanting to laugh at that scene because I'm like, oh my god, did they just use kids and terminal cancer?
Yes, they went there.
It was a different time back then.
It really was.
100%.
Yeah.
But
when we got to that, I was like, I don't even remember this happening, but
the only reason I ended up laughing wasn't because of Jack Black selling it, honestly. It was them looking out the window and the kids just looking down in the dumps.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, I think it's okay for me to laugh just a little bit.
I enjoyed when so like he sees that, he obviously he takes the job for the money, but he sees that they're very musically inclined, so he tries to bring them back in, and he's like, hey, look at this, it's a guitar, and he's like, cello. So he's like trying to explain to him like what I'm trying to do is very similar to what you guys are already doing, so let's just transition. He's trying to make it seem like he's wanting to further their musical education when obviously we all know the story.
That is a really great scene where he takes their strengths and just applies them to the different instruments.
Right.
So Craig, what you're saying is that he is a user of children, and he technically was an abuser.
That scene,
an adult in position abusing kids for his own gain.
That scene where he's just like at the parent-teacher conference where he says, "Your kids touched me, and I'm pretty sure I've touched them." It's just like what?
Everyone just straight face perfectly.
Like,
man.
Like, how did they get that scene at all? How many takes did it take for just no one to break?
I don't know, but that would have been really difficult, especially with him telling the lines.
Or even when the principal comes in and he's like, "Oh yeah, that's my guitar. She heard music, and he was using the music to learn about math."
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Math is a wonderful thing.
Bro, these kids are looking at you like we aren't two, bro. We are not two.
Man, there's just there's not many dead moments in it. It's a very the movie changes pace a lot. It's the same story, but you get different tidbits here and there of the movie where it's like it has a different feeling. So you're never dull with, even though the story is very simple, you're never dull with what's going on screen because of the way they cut it up.
And looking back at it, I'm kind of glad that they didn't win Battle of the Bands, because the whole lesson he's been teaching throughout the whole movie is, that itself is a lesson. Exactly.
Yeah.
And the encore is really the success.
Yeah.
Because they wanted to hear you play.
Yeah, doing one great rock show can change the world, and I agree with you. I'm glad they didn't win. And the encore, when they do AC/DC's "It's a Long Way to the Top," that just perfect summarizes the whole, like, being in that type of world almost.
Which, I mean, going with Angus Young's style is already kind of a hard enough thing to do, because he did bring quite a bit. There was some stuff he did that was kind of simple, but there was a lot of stuff that he did that was just very complex, very, very good. I mean, honestly, AC/DC.
I only like my Angus medium rare, sir.
But this one's Angus Young.
I like him.
No, I think I like what you said, Craig. There's so many just moments in this movie. Even I pledge allegiance to the band, where he gets all the kids to like the pledge to say, "Hey, we're not gonna tell anyone. You're not gonna fight me." Yeah. And that's just a great scene. It's just
that's what I made you guys do before you got on. I pledge allegiance to the pod.
Right.
Was this new, or
I wasn't there? You just don't remember, Ed, because of the drink.
Right.
Another another kind of subplot of this movie that I really enjoyed is, obviously he's there for his own self gain, but when he's there and he kind of realizes who these kids are and what they are, he's kind of like, I can help them, they can help me, and he really helps to bring them out of their shell, because they're all, they're paid prep students. Their parents are kind of, they're harsh on them. It's like, no, only do work, only do this. You don't need to do anything musically. And he's able to bring them out of their shell. And I think you can almost kind of relate to that at that age. It's like, there's things that I really enjoy, but I feel like it may not be cool enough. He talks to the guy. He's like, playing the piano is really cool, and he gives them the soundtrack to go listen to it. And he's like, these dudes rip. And I think you're able to watch that and be like, it doesn't really matter what other people think is cool, because there's plenty of people that do what maybe that person has their sights set on, and they're able to kind of just like put their sights on that and not the negativity of what other people might think.
And to go off to that, when he does the speech about the man, it's just like look, life sucks. Someone's going to come in here and tell you can't do something, and you can either accept it and move on, or just try to what he teaches them later on is just like, just do what you're passionate about, and you'll win at life.
I had I'm so glad that Ella and Craig, you both kind of brought up the same thing but different levels, because of us watching this movie now as we have a kid. And I love those two bring ups, and you definitely feel in one moment, hey, I watched this at 13, but now watching it 20 years later, I have a 9-year-old daughter, and right before this movie, probably about a day before yesterday, she asked me why life is so hard. And it was so touching. I didn't know how to explain it. I'm not going to tell the speech over the podcast, but it took me a minute. And then honestly, I kind of looked down. I'm like, we're doing a Jack Black movie. Let me steal something from Jack Black. And the movie, you laugh, Zach, but the movie,
it's hard, but it's true.
It did. It helped me.
I just picture you say, "I believe the children." I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I didn't break into a song, but it was kind of the same thing. He said to the kids at the end, and it's just it's so cool how we're watching this movie 20 years later, and we can relate on both sides of the ball. Ed, Zach, you guys will get there one day.
One day.
You really just see the pivotal turning points that he makes in very specific scenes. You can kind of just see his reality crashing down around him when he's trying to look for other band members, and he's just caught listening, people telling him he's the worst. And then it's like they go to the first battle of the band's audition, and he's just trying to take care of these kids and keep them motivated. And then whenever Freddie is not even in the group anymore, and he goes and runs down the guys that they're partying with, he's a 10-year-old kid, do better. And so you really see him actually having a more mature mindset about what he's doing.
Be a responsible adult.
And there's we grew up watching kind of movies like this, and we're able to, like you said, go back and see the other side of the ball now. And I think it helps because, I don't want to kind of speak for everybody and how they grew up, but growing up, my parents were always supportive, but it felt like they were kind of one-way supportive. And I think being able to watch this and understand how we felt as a kid compared to now, it's you can still be supportive of somebody with encourage them to do what they want to do and be the best at what they want to do. And it's even if it's not, I don't know, it's just these movies that we were able to see, it's it really helps us kind of see the field instead of a narrow lane of how to be successful in life. And so I think that's one of the greatest things about this movie is it helps you see the field of being able to parent.
Yeah, that's for sure. Especially whenever what was Zach, whenever his dad was talking to him, and you can just really tell why Zach was so afraid in class, and it broke my heart because now you have that kid and you're I hope I'm not doing that to my kid.
Right.
Well, But then you get that really cool scene of like, what really pisses you off, and he starts playing the guitars, just like, just to relate to them on their level. It really, really works, and it's just like, look, people, they're gonna piss you off, and you just have to go with it.
Got to tell them to step off.
Yeah.
Step off. Johnny, I wanted to get your opinion real quick. I think one of the things that kind of surprises me each time I watch it is that this is a Richard Linklater movie. He did Dazed and Confused, the Before trilogy, all these different wide-ranging movies. It doesn't feel like his type of film, but I think the direction of it really tells in his form.
Boyhood, Before trilogy. If you haven't seen them,
Boyhood's a good
very
movie.
good.
I recommend
very good
it.
films.
This has this is not going to sound right, but it has a touch of Boyhood in it.
Yeah.
If that makes
sense.
Pause. it has a touch of that. The Before trilogy, that's a different kind of masterpiece right there. But when I kept doing the research a few years ago, and even for today, I'm like, yeah, it definitely does not feel something on his level. But I don't think it was really meant to. I think this was somebody to take a Jack Black idea and a Mike idea and give it the direction it needed. Now, could this been a funny movie with director Dennis Duncan or Dungeon, who's Big Daddy, Sandler stuff? I think he could have directed something like this, and it could have been still funny. But some of the it feels moments, I don't think would have been as quite
as
if
powerful.
It was as powerful. Yeah.
I think another thing this movie did a really good job of was, even watching it as a kid, it's like, well, I don't have a spot in the band. And he's like, yeah, but you're going to make the graphics for the band. The band doesn't look as good if it's a blank wall. It's like, just because you're not in the band doesn't mean that you don't have a major role to play. And I think that kind of speaks to people who might feel like, okay, I'm not a part of the main thing. It's like, you still make the train go by being a part of it, regardless of where you're at. And I think it helps. It might have helped kids kind of see the bigger picture. Like, I can still fit in and still feel like I'm worth something. I'm a part of the entire thing.
Yeah, that's good. Next week, for its 20th anniversary, we're getting a 4K release steelbook, so I'll
probably pick
picking
it
that.
up.
It is not 4K, Zach. It is Blu-ray only.
Oh, well, that's disappointing. But still,
I saw that.
the fact that they're doing a steelbook 20th anniversary is cool. I wish they had done the 20th anniversary reunion and put it on the Blu-ray. I think that would have been really cool, but
It's Paramount. Paramount does really good 20th anniversaries for their physical media release.
Yeah,
Johnny, that Spider-Man Across the Spider, or whichever, the second one, when you picked it up at Walmart, was it Blu-ray only?
I believe it is Blu-ray. Yeah.
Yeah.
Piss me off.
Yeah. But it looks a lot better than the Best Buy exclusive.
Yeah.
The steelbook or the
steelbook.
Yeah,
the inside of it
I think the Walmart steelbook looks better than the Best Buy steelbook.
Yeah.
I agree, but also it's not 4K.
Favorite scene, guys? Ella, do you want to start us off? Is there a scene that kind of sticks out to you more than others?
Yeah, we had already talked about it, but when Jack Black's like, just tell me how you feel. How would you tell a boy to stop? And they just all start saying the worst things.
Yeah.
I can't even think of them, but just kids saying cuss words is just always hilarious to me.
I'm going to go with when he sees the kids playing classical music and he's just like, oh, really? And then he brings them back and he gets everyone, like the certain members just, the eye roll thing is cool.
Goes running.
And then he gets the kids that knows how to play and kind of teaches them like, hey, these are the same instruments, just in a different fashion. And then the actual School of Rock show where they actually do the song is a great sequence. What about you, Craig?
Mine kind of lines up with you, except it's not the instruments itself. It's him giving them the artist or music that kind of fits them to make them realize like, hey, this is what I could potentially be or sound like.
Yeah. What about you, Ed?
I would have to say the end songs, just because of knowing that they actually did play that live. That was very, very cool. Um, Knowing that those songs weren't necessarily easy to play either. Um, Another part right there, and it just kind of got you feeling a little good for that matter, because
Yeah.
they were good songs for that matter. So yeah, man, the ending songs were, in my opinion, best. So
Well, and the fact that one's a cover of a real song, and then the actual song that they made together is kind of cool.
yeah,
That is definitely like the favorite scene. Was like that one's going to be talked about for sure.
Yeah.
It's just so good, and it's just
Yep.
like even the parents seeing them like your son's so talented, and they kind of
Yeah.
are just like seeing each other for the first time because they're all too busy to even care about
Yeah.
their kids for the most part.
And I like the realization on their faces, like, yeah, so is yours. They're really good.
and that's the thing right there, because it kind of sucks when you've got a want to do something and no one believes in you, no one wants you to do it, or things are against you somehow, some way, and when it's coming down from a parent, especially, it really can suck.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, once they finally get to see like you and your kind of edge or area or your niche, it's just like, and they're just like, oh shit.
Yeah.
What about you?
It's
What
like,
about you,
yeah.
Tony?
Favorite scenes, I would probably say when he takes the principal out to go get a beer. I thought that was pretty funny.
He's like, oh, Stevie Nicks. He's like, that's how I'm going to do it.
Probably when iCarly comes up to him and says she doesn't want to be a
groupie
because she looked it up and figured out what it was.
Yeah,
I thought that was pretty funny. Anytime he's coaching and just getting along with the kids, which is throughout the movie. I can think of those right off the top of my head. So
it's like every time he gives a role, it really does feel like he's just coming up with it at the top of his head. Like, oh, you can be the manager. It's the most important job. And the kid that asks if he could just be the stylist, he's like, you do it.
Yep. Star rating. I think this is going to be a pretty highly rated movie. Zach, your pick. You go first.
10 out of 10. I kind of beat myself up because this is just slightly out of my top 10 favorite movies of all time. On this rewatch, it would definitely be top 5, maybe top 6 through 10, maybe even top 5. It's a great film, has a great message. Jack Black is awesome. The kids are awesome. And it's just one that, I may not want to watch all the time, but when I do, I have a freaking blast watching it. So 10 out of 10.
Everything you said, I completely agree. But the one thing I really, really agree with you on is maybe something I'm not going to want to pick and watch every day. So I'm going to give it an 8. I still think it's a very highly laughable film, very enjoyable. Just not my go-to Jack Black. 8. Ella?
What about you? Go ahead, Ella. Yeah.
I really would say a 10 as well. I mean, there's really just no slow parts. I mean, it's all just funny, and you're not bored ever. Like I don't think I see myself watching it every day, but it's definitely one of those feel-good movies that I can see myself picking up more often, even going forward, because I forgot how much of a great movie it is.
Yeah.
Good. And then the conversation makes it that much more enjoyable.
Yeah.
Craig?
What about you? Go ahead, Craig. Yeah.
The 10. I mean, I think I made it well known and at the start that it was going to be a 10. This
so
is
not 5.5.
10 plus 5.5.
There you go.
It's just one of those movies that, for the longest time, it kind of snuck under the radar. And then I rewatched it one time, and now it's up there with like Pitch Perfect and some of these other movies with my family. It's one that we can always sit down, and if we can't decide on a movie, it's one of those. So,
yeah. What about you, Ed?
gonna have to go ahead and say an 8 as well. This is one of those movies that you can watch several times. It's one of those that you probably do want or have in your collection as well. And it's just overall a great movie. Like I said, it's one of the ones that when you think Jack Black, this is one of the three that I first think of. Other than Tenacious D and Nacho Libre.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Before we get out of here, I just sent you guys a link to a YouTube video of it's just Conan and Jack Black's guitar battle. It's classic Jack Black, but just watch it. It's one of the funniest things ever. So
That sounds wonderful. I'm gonna watch it right now.
Pretty high ratings for School of Rock. Again, like Zach said, if you guys want to check it out, I believe it's on Paramount Plus. You can
watch it free on YouTube.
Blu-ray Steelbook comes out next week. Regular Blu-ray is already out there. Go check it out at the library. Speaking of Paramount Plus, I believe that's also where you can check out our next subject matter. Next week we finish the Star Trek conversation. We've done 09 Into Darkness, and now it is Star Trek Beyond from 2016. J.J. Abrams did not direct this one, so I want to see how our opinions fit from the other two that we talked about in September and August. But guys, can you believe we're ending September already next month? September's done. Star Trek Beyond next week, and then we do. I only have 2 horror movies named for October. The other 2 will be named later this week. That's The Birds.
Yes.
The first week of October, we're talking about The Birds, and then the second week of October, we're talking the Texas Chainsaw Massacre from 2003.
The Birds and the Bees.
The Birds and the Bees. Got some honey on your knees.
What the fuck?
So that's what we're talking about next week is Star Trek Beyond. Guys, if you did not catch at the beginning of the episode, I got some certificates. San Marcos gift certificates were given away. OKC Soda behind me. All this stuff is being given away. All you have to do is go follow the social media. I'm giving away a digital copy of Air. All these giveaways are coming up soon. It's the end summer giveaway. Just go and follow the social media for all the chances to win. Just hang out. Craig's online. What's up, Craig?
I already follow. Can I get one?
Of course. Follow, like, subscribe. We're giving away a bunch of stuff. So it's the end summer giveaway. It's the official last week of summer, guys. So go sign up. Go follow the social medias. You can win. I got cases upon cases of OKC soda. I got $50 to San Marcos. $50 is good eating, okay? Go follow and win some prizes.
If you go on Wednesday,
it's $5 margaritas. $5 margaritas, $50 worth of margaritas. Somebody's
having you get lit.
Exactly.
Somebody's going to jail that night.
And Alex hooks up the tequila in those margaritas, my man.
If you didn't go and get messed up at the Jelly Roll concert last night, which I heard was off the hook, go and get some $5 margaritas. San Marcos Mexican restaurant. Today's Wednesday. As soon as you get done listening and watching this, go to San Marcos and get some $5 margaritas.
There you go.
Next week, just go to San Marcos, listen to the podcast while you drink margaritas.
Right.
There you go.
And you know what? I had a great conversation with some sponsors today. Mike from OKC Soda, he will be on some episodes in November. They have some huge new product coming out of OKC Soda. He will be on in November to talk all about it. He's picking his own movie. He's picking the conversation. He's going to come on, and we're going to talk movies with him in November. Again, guys, it's not like it's far away. November is just 4 weeks away already, 5 weeks away. So, guys, before we put the final nail in the coffin in Jack Black and School of Rock, is there anything else you guys want to add to today's episode before we get out of here?
Go out, learn something new, learn a musical instrument. I mean, don't wrong. You cannot get over the benefits of that.
Even the triangle. Ding.
Yeah, dude, learn the freaking cowbell. Need more cowbell. You
It took
know,
us 2 days
something.
to rewatch it. My son was like, "Can we get out the music instruments and finish that movie?" Absolutely.
Does
You know,
Guitar Hero count?
I mean, shoot, as long as you're trying.
And if you're Edward's neighbors, I have headphones for sale. Plenty of headphones.
I've got earplugs, man. I've got range earplugs, so you know, you just squeeze them, push them in, you're good to go. Doesn't even matter. I mean, hey, if y'all want to come over and play some guitar, I got you.
I don't play
I'm not
guitar.
falling for that trap again.
That's
Again.
that sounds like a story that hasn't been told yet.
That's a story yet to be told in the mythology of the podcast.
Oh,
30 for 30.
No
30
more
for-
about School
30
of
for
Rock,
30.
So, are you guys excited about Star Trek next week? Paramount Plus, the final chapter.
I'm interested to check this one out again. It's been a while, but from what I recall, this one wasn't really one that stuck out to me. So,
Craig, me and you went and seen it in the theater at Harkins.
I'm pretty sure I
it
saw
didn't-
this in the theaters at Harkins as well.
Yep.
Yeah,
That was-
I saw this in the theater as well.
That was when Johnny was working there, and we were seeing a movie every other day.
Every other day.
am I the only one that
Movie.
hasn't seen this then? So
Go check it out. Paramount Plus. I believe it's also on the Vudu. Guys, we went a little long today, but I think it was fun. I think we had a great conversation, great cover piece, great subject matter, fun top 5. Until next time, I think that's going to do it here. Last week was our 5th anniversary. We talked Batman, The Mask of the Phantasm. If you haven't listened to that, go back and listen to that episode. We also talked to actor Zach Shear. This week was hella fun. School of Rock. Next week, Star Trek Beyond, right here on the Cine-Men Movie Podcast.
Say later.
Later.